In this video, we will delve this teaching in depth, examining the wisdom it imparts and its practical application in our lives. Through the lens of Buddhist philosophy and the teachings of Gautam Buddha, we will seek to motivate and inspire you to understand the profound significance of this teaching. By the end of this exploration, we hope to provide you with a clear path towards a more fulfilling and enlightened life. The nature of self-deception. Never try to convince yourself is a teaching that challenges the way we often deceive ourselves. It points to the tendency of the human mind to justify its desires, attachments, and delusions. Many of us have experienced moments when we convince ourselves of something, even when deep down we know it is not true or beneficial. This self-deception can lead to suffering and hinder our path to enlightenment. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. By avoiding self-deception and maintaining a clear and positive mindset, we can transform our lives. You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. Buddha teaches us to recognize the destructive nature of negative emotions like anger. Avoid trying to convince yourself that holding on to anger is beneficial. Instead, release it to find inner peace. The only real failure in life is not to be true to the best one knows. It emphasizes the importance of authenticity and self-awareness. Self-deception can lead to a life that is not true to your inner values and knowledge. Hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal rule. This teaching reinforces the importance of compassion and loving kindness. By avoiding self-deception and cultivating love, we can transcend the cycle of hatred and suffering. The illusion of ego. Central to the teaching is the recognition of the illusion of the self, or ego. Buddhism asserts that the ego, or the concept of I and mine, is a construct of the mind. This construct gives rise to attachment, pride, and suffering. The Buddha teaches us to see through this illusion and understand that the self is impermanent and ever-changing. The role of attachment. Attachment is a significant source of suffering, and it often leads to self-deception. When we become attached to people, possessions, or outcomes, we may convince ourselves of things that are not in alignment with reality. For example, someone in an unhealthy relationship may convince themselves that their partner will change, even when evidence suggests otherwise. By clinging to this attachment, they perpetuate their suffering. The practice of mindfulness. To overcome self-deception and attachment, the Buddha's teaching emphasizes the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness involves being fully present in the moment, observing our thoughts, feelings, and actions without judgment. Through mindfulness, we can become aware of the ways in which we try to convince ourselves of things that are not true. It allows us to see through the illusions created by the ego. The practical application. Understanding the teaching, never try to convince yourself, is just the beginning. To truly benefit from this wisdom, it must be applied in our daily lives. 1. Cultivating self-awareness. The first step in applying the teaching is to cultivate self-awareness. This means being honest with yourself about your thoughts, feelings, and attachments. It requires a willingness to confront your own self-deceptions and to acknowledge when you are trying to convince yourself of something that is not true. 2. Questioning your beliefs. To avoid self-deception, it's crucial to question your beliefs and convictions. When you find yourself trying to convince yourself of something, take a step back and examine the evidence. Is what you're telling yourself based on reality, or is it a product of your desires and attachments? By asking these questions, you can cut through self-deception. 3. Embracing impermanence. A core element of the teaching, never try to convince yourself, is the recognition of impermanence. Nothing in life is permanent, and clinging to the belief that things will stay the same can lead to suffering. Embrace the impermanence of all things and understand that change is a natural part of life. 4. Letting go of attachments. To avoid self-deception, it's necessary to let go of attachments. Recognize when you are attached to a particular outcome, possession, or relationship and understand that these attachments can blind you to the truth. By releasing attachments, you free yourself from the need to convince yourself of their validity. 5. Practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness is a powerful tool for living in alignment with the teaching. Never try to convince yourself. Regular mindfulness practice allows you to observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment. It helps you become aware of moments when you are trying to convince yourself and enables you to let go of such tendencies. The benefits of never try to convince yourself. Embracing the teaching, never try to convince yourself, yields profound benefits in one's life. Let's see the positive impact of integrating this wisdom into your existence. 1. Inner peace. By letting go of self-deception and attachment, you can experience a profound sense of inner peace. When you no longer need to convince yourself of things that aren't true, your mind becomes calm, and you can fully appreciate the present moment. 2. Freedom from suffering. The teaching, never try to convince yourself, is ultimately about freeing yourself from suffering. When you no longer cling to false beliefs and attachments, you break free from the cycle of suffering and move closer to the cessation of suffering, as outlined in the Four Noble Truths. 3. Improved relationships. Many conflicts and misunderstandings in relationships stem from self-deception and attachment. By applying this teaching, you can foster healthier and more authentic connections with others. You'll be better equipped to communicate honestly and openly. 4. Increased clarity. As you let go of self-deception, your mind becomes clearer. You can see situations and people more objectively. This increased clarity enables you to make better decisions and choices in your life. 5. Spiritual growth. Embracing the teaching, never try to convince yourself, is a significant step in your spiritual journey. It aligns with the core principles of Buddhism and paves the way for personal growth and enlightenment. The nature of reality. Gautam Buddha's teachings remind us of the impermanence and transitory nature of all things. By acknowledging this truth, we can release our attachments and cultivate a deeper understanding of reality. The power of self-reflection. Self-reflection is a fundamental aspect of the Buddhist teachings. It allows us to examine our thoughts, actions, and beliefs. By embracing self-reflection, we can avoid self-deception and grow on our spiritual path. The path to enlightenment. The path to enlightenment, as elucidated by the Buddha, is a journey of self-discovery and inner transformation. It involves understanding the nature of suffering, the causes of suffering, and the way to liberation. Never try to convince yourself serves as a vital signpost on this path. Compassion and loving kindness. In addition to the teaching, never try to convince yourself, the Buddha emphasized the importance of compassion and loving kindness. By practicing these qualities, we not only transform our relationship with ourselves, but also with all living beings. The eternal relevance. The teachings of Gautam Buddha, including never try to convince yourself, are as relevant today as they were in his time. They speak to the human condition and offer guidance for navigating the complexities of modern life. The wisdom of the Buddha is a timeless wellspring of inspiration and enlightenment. The teaching, never try to convince yourself, is a profound lesson in self-awareness, detachment, and mindfulness. It challenges us to see through the illusions of the ego and to avoid self-deception. By integrating this teaching into our lives, we can experience inner peace, freedom from suffering, improved relationships, increased clarity, and spiritual growth. May the teaching, never try to convince yourself, resonate deeply within you, motivating you to live a life of authenticity, self-awareness, and genuine compassion. In the words of the Buddha, you yourself must make an effort. The Tathagatas are only teachers. The path to enlightenment is yours to walk, and never try to convince yourself is a guiding star on your journey.